I know I said I wouldn't. I know I said I wouldn't do this, but I haven't really done this yet. So I want to have a little bit of a just a look around. It's running quite smoothly.
Yeah, of course it is. So we've got a very, very standard build from Thedosios to Grens into MG42, which is opening up right now on the western flank, keeping those conscripts. They're going to have to be quick. They're going to have to think about what they're going to do.
Definitely, and Thedosios making sure that he locks down that side of the map very, very quickly. MG protected by Gren is going to be very, very difficult for conscripts to break in the early game, but Talisman, absolutely famous for spamming conscripts a little bit like this, is going to build his 4th conscript, and that's going to give him the flanking edge that he needs to get around that MG.
Crossroads, very good map for MG play though. It's a nice open map. You can defend quite well as Wehrmacht, and he's going to have to defend very well indeed to thwart the early play of Talisman.
We have a fresh Grenadier squad.
Here comes another squad of Grenadiers. I wonder, really, actually, Talisman and Thedosios, they must come up against each other a fair amount. I wonder if they're very familiar with each other's builds here. It's normally something with higher tier players that does kind of come into play, is you can expect some people who are kind of rigid with their strategies have a little bit of an idea of where they're going, and we obviously don't know that. That sneaky little mine over there from Talisman.
With the player pool being a little bit constricted at the higher levels, these top players do come up against each other very often. Thedosios, for example, is number 7 as Wehrmacht, number 10 as Soviets. Talisman, God, he's got great ranks recently. Number 5 as Soviets, his current faction. So this is a top 10 in both factions level game, and that's why we're going to see some excellent play today.
Pioneers there upgraded with the flamethrower, trying to clear out this building where the Grenadiers are basically using as a vision vantage point for the MG. Doesn't want to lose that. Manages to counter it pretty well with the Grenadiers that he has available. And this is all about holding that left side of the map right now.
Had to run away on the negative cover. There are big swathes of negative cover. This is Crossroads. This is 2 giant roads that intersect. So every retreat can actually be quite fatal in certain situations.
One of the things you really have to watch out for, of course, the negative cover in the center of the map.
As
It's always
mentioned
weird,
by
actually. You always
myself.
get a little bit of a... Yeah, I mean... Sorry. Too busy. Caught up in the graphics. But it's one of the things like that I really love about this map, and it is a popular map. It just breaks up very, very easily, like the whole design of it. You know, the fact that you have to cross a little bit of negative cover to get to your opponent's side. There's plenty of opportunities for, you know, mines and basically choke points where you can mess up a squad.
Yeah, it's one of the all-time great maps. I mean, this map has a storied history. It was actually originally used in tournament play for SNF4 back in Co1. It was White Flash Reborn, the guy that Relic actually contracted to remake all the 1v1 maps for Co2. This guy is the daddy when it comes to making 1 versus 1 maps in this game. And this is his best map. But it took 5 years to get it in auto match, and now here it is, and it's absolutely glorious.
Enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
I love watching games like this because when you have both players that go for heavy infantry builds, you know, there's a hell of a lot more to look out for. You know, it's not like we're watching Zarok play Maxims and it's, you know, like...
Oh no, heaven forbid, you know.
It's not one of those, but like here, you know, we're seeing a lot of activity that's going on all the time. There's a lot to reinforce, make sure units, you know, watch out for nades, Molotovs, the flamethrower, obviously. And I really do like that, and Thedosios is trying to respond here to the conscript build by 4 Grenadiers of his own. And I think we do have the 2nd tier coming up now, so I'll be interested to see whether he's going to go for light vehicles, or whether he's just building this for the AT, and we'll skip out to an early tier 3.
Top level players have great micro, it goes without saying, so they're going to want to use units that are like precision tools and flanking tools. They're not going to want to A-move around with machine guns. That's why when you see top level players play, often they use things that are actually attractive to watch. Great pressure being applied by Talisman. He's actually attacking on 3 fronts right now. He's had to retreat off the left. The sentry's been pushed away softly, but he was doing some great decapping on the right, so he's a very active player at the moment.
I really, really like this decision to go for the MG. In fact, he's near... They've near got mirror builds at the moment, so I think this really does come down to a lot of, you know, who's using it better. And absolutely love the work that's going on here in the middle. The MG providing a little bit of suppression fire. The flamethrower went in there to try and burn the MG out of that building. Now it's reclaimed by Talisman, who's going to be able to use that as his own vantage point for pushing up the center to the strategic point. So a really nice move to get that territory under control.
Great garrison and de-garrison. He jumped in the house and out the house, and he actually traversed that land quicker to try and get the focus fires down on the retreating MG. So there's a little bit of a hot tip for you there if you've got a double door building.
Thedosios not too worried about that push through the center. In fact, he's going to go on the offensive and try and decap the fuel and VP from Talisman on the right side. Scout car hits the field. Should be able to pick up the left side against these conscripts.
We do have the Tankovi battalion coming down in base, however, so the scout car's supremacy won't be long-lasting for too long.
Minefield down from Thedosios. I think that's a really interesting thing to build when you come up against... we were talking last week about, you know, playing against Tenshi, for instance, and I think if you've got players like Talisman who go for a heavy infantry build, they're not going to be able to watch everything as quick. You know, so Minefield's actually very, very... You know, very, very important. Talisman will make mistakes there if he doesn't spot that.
We have seen it from Talisman before. He is a very aggressive infantry player, and later in the game, if he does go for his con spam strategy, he can obviously not be quite able to control 14 conscripts at one time, so it could be possible.
It's looking like Thedosios' game at the moment. Hasn't really made any mistakes that I've seen. Haven't seen any unit losses. Look at the match stats. Definitely winning in the KDs. That's, I guess, to be expected against 4Con's build.
Yeah, it's a good game so far. Very good preservation levels, which is very indicative of high-level play. They always retreat when they need to because they can sense danger before other players could even see it happening.
I think we do also have to point out as well, which was picked relatively early on, was the decision for Talisman to go for armored assault tactics. And obviously he does have the radio intercept at the moment, so he will be aware of what is coming up in the build from Thedosios. That allows him to make some pretty good decisions ahead of time, so that he is always, you know, prepared for what's going to come at him. And I think he had that up before the scout car came in. So I mean, I would probably expect that we have Molotov's research. Yes, we do. You know, so this is going to give him some really good intel for the rest of this match.
Bad part about this commander, though, it's not very good in the early game. It does give you intel, but it doesn't give you any call-in unit infantry. It doesn't give you anything that'll come before the even 20-25 minute mark. So he is going to actually get penned back a little bit by Thedosios right now, especially with the LMG Grenadiers just sitting behind cover and raining down hellfire on his conscripts.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. When we get into that late game, what do we have to look forward to? The Sturmovik IL-2 airstrike, you know, good against light vehicles and infantry. We've got the IS-2, T-35s potentially. Huge late game.
It's not just the airstrike either. It's the loiter. It's the Big Daddy skill plane version. The variant that literally it's one click and you control that area of the battlefield.
A new half-track has arrived.
Actually, he's gone for the half-track from his Tier 3. And I wonder what he's going to be doing with that, actually. He probably wants to upgrade it for suppression against the infantry build. We do have the anti-air package coming up in there now, so the quads will go up on this unit. This is a great unit for suppression, I have to say. Like, one of the best in the game for mobile suppression platforms.
It is the daddy of mobile suppression. I'm just looking through the winter balance mode changes at the moment, just to see what we've got in store for the M5, because I believe it could have been one of the units been tweaked slightly. Let me have a check.
Incendiaries popped on from the MG in the center building, and Talisman does not feel confident about engaging the MG whilst that ability is active. Maxim also not wanting to push the field there.
Check out those reaction times. He noticed the tracer rounds coming from the incendiary fire of the MG42, and he backed out quicker than we could even see it in cast. That's how good of a player he is.
Yes, comrade.
People saying it got nerfed to hell in WBP. It's actually not true. That was one of the reversions. It was not in scope. So the only current change to the M5 right now is M5 UI text modified for better clarification. So I wonder how that's going to play out, Dan. That UI text. Ooh, demo's been noticed on the left with the Minesweepers getting detonated by the 222 right now.
Yeah, really good that he actually went over there with the Minesweepers, because I mean he has hit a mine already, and I always think if you do put a mine down early that gets triggered, and your opponent builds the combat package up on its pioneers for minesweeping, sometimes it's just not worth building the demos, because there's just so much risk after already triggering a mine that your opponent's going to spot that. It's a I'm not saying it's a bad decision, because it could have caught him off, but Thedosios is not that stupid, quite frankly. He knew that was coming.
Yeah, he would have, in my opinion, had to put it in a less obvious place. Not next to a big heavy fuel point, or possibly somewhere that he wouldn't be expecting if he was going to spend 90 munitions, which now he's lost.
Yeah, Pioneers here. Thedosios laying a Talisman on the left-hand side, just in case that half-track comes over to try and deal with the infantry, and it looks like Talisman may be about to start doing that, so this Talisman could pay for itself straight away. The sign that it's gone down is there. He sees the engineers running away. Does he still want to push with this vehicle?
Oh, he might. It's a tricky one, It's a tricky one. No, he doesn't. Very clever player. He's not going to be fooled by that. And it is, of course, the very famous quote by you in any cast I've ever cast with you, the psychological mine metagame. You see a minesweeper, it makes you think of mines, so you think, let's not go there.
My favourite phrase, eh?
Yes, I've actually estimated I've cast 2,000 games with you, and you've mentioned it in 1,932 of those casts.
I don't think it's that bad.
We've all got our cliches.
Conscripts there got caught laying tripwire flares, so Talisman clearly trying to make use of those around the map to spot when Thedosios is going to be making those pushes around the flanks. And it looks like Talisman's actually managed to stabilize himself now. He's got control of the mid, has managed to keep control of the right for a lot of time, but now he's up against the Panzer IV.
Panzer IV is an excellent all-round vehicle. It is a generalist, and it's an expensive generalist, but if you try and get it to veterancy and you nurse it, it can be a great part of your army if you support it well.
I mean, it's a good option, but obviously we've got the tier 4 that's in the base from Talisman. The good thing about Armoured Assault actually is that it doesn't really give any telltale signs of a commander pick, so it's likely that Thedosios won't know that, and I think that probably explains why he himself hasn't picked a commander yet and has gone for the tier 3 straight in. But I mean, yeah, this is going to be a difficult one for him, I think, because he's gone into tier 3. He has committed to that now. He does have access to the Tiger race if he does go for elite later on. But he's going to come up against the T-34 85's potentially IS-2 combination.
Tank talk with AE. I did not know the Panzer IV was not the bigger variant compared to the Panzer III. They're barely any different, In fact, the Panzer III was the anti-tank tank, and the Panzer IV was the anti-infantry tank when they were first devised. There's barely any difference in the two vehicles. Oh, going over the mine there, damaged engine. Is there anything to follow up, Dan?
There isn't yet. There was an AT gun in the build. It was cancelled because the T-34 is coming on. I think that's an 85 variant, actually. We need to check that, but... yeah, missed opportunity. I think, again, Thedosios will look back on that and think it's actually lucky he drove forward and hit that mine then, because in a couple of seconds' time, that would have been a dead Panzer IV easily.
It is indeed the 85 variant. It's just about to hit the field. So there's a Pack 40 in position, though, so its impact is going to be minimal.
T-34 ready for combat.
Here we go, it was the T-34-85 indeed that hit the field, and this may be Talisman's time to start pushing back, trying to get a little army group up on the left-hand side to cap a VP and maybe decap some fuel, something he definitely needs to take away from Thedosios as the game goes on. But now he needs to just focus on making some ground where his T-34-85 can be effective against the infantry targets.
This game has everything in its disposal right now to become an absolute epic. Great map. Parity in terms of victory points, parity in terms of army, good preservation. It's going to be a good one, Dan. Nothing's been lost so far. Everything to play for and everything at each player's disposal.
Yeah, and territory is always one of these things that's very misleading. I mean, the VPs are actually still neck and neck thanks to the great early game that Talisman had on VP lead. This is only a little bit of resource boost for Thedosios at this time. It's not really enough for him to say, oh Jesus, I'm going to quick tech up into a tier 4, and rely on a commander like Blitzkrieg. I think he's still going to be under the weather on that front, but he's going for the Stug, which I think is a very, very good idea against what is going to be a slow IS-2, and even the T-34-85s is that mobile.
Great map for it as well. The Stug is best when it's got a road to back its ass down. If it stays at range and keeps you at range, keeps throwing those jabs out at you, it can take on an IS-2 if it's supported easily.
Panzer IV here comes in to support the left side. This is a really good opportunity for Talisman to make some ground on the right. Currently using the T-34-85 to ground attack through the hedgerow, through the sight blocker, to try and pick out units through the fog of war. I absolutely love that.
He's been doing a hell of a lot of that this game. He's almost like an archer at times, with the flamethrower on the combat engineers now hitting Veterancy 2, by the way. T-34-85, they're both firing behind hedges. It's great to see.
So surprising not to see anything go down at this stage of the game. 17 minutes in, nothing, as you say, has been lost. We nearly saw a Grenadier squad go down then, but just the retreats are on point at the moment. Very, very good calculations of engagements. Talisman getting his side of the map back, and once more we're going to go through the back and forth of this Company of Heroes game.
It's very back and forth, and it's going to build to a raging crescendo in the late game. You can just feel it. I think the hype is in, and we've just had a very hype pick from Thedosios. We've got elite troops doctrine, which leads only to one thing. That's right, Panzer Tactician smoke. So you can use smoke to get away. Even I didn't know where
you were going with that one there. Yeah, that does mean, of course, we will be seeing the Tiger Ace, hopefully, later on into this game, which is a double-edged sword, because, if you have that thing out on the field, and your opponent does focus, the rest of your army avoiding the Tiger Ace, you can't reinforce anything. You just end up losing a lot of your army, and kind of nothing to play with. So it can work against you, but for what the Tiger Ace is, especially coming up against T-34-85's IS-2, it's going to be a very, very good pick indeed.
At the moment, though, Thedosios is doing the right thing. He's getting a heavy Tier 3 play setup, and that'll really support a Tiger Ace very well, because when that manpower bleed comes in, you want to be invested heavily in vehicles. That way you're not constantly having to reinforce, and you can stay battlefield effective.
Yeah, I do agree with that. The Tier 3 is definitely the way to go for this. I think actually, looking back at this build order, this should have been obvious about what the choice was, because although that 4 Grens, we're talking patches and patches ago, this was a key characteristic of the Elite Troops build that was a previous meta.
However, as a slight juke and as a slight bit of a smoke and mirrors, he's gone for 4 LMGs on all of his Grenadiers. No Gevers in sight.
Yeah, I guess that's, I don't know, do you think that's to try and fool his opponent into thinking, maybe he hasn't got elite troops, or do you think it's because LMG's, just better at long range against allies?
Both. I think it's absolutely both. 4 LMGs, it makes you have a bit more of a static play style, of course. Oh, great shot through the hedgerow, dear Christ! 1-2 punch! He never saw it coming down.
Literally didn't, because the fog of war didn't even allow for it to happen. That was a great spot. Absolutely great spot.
It was fantastic. It was literally like being blindsided. You never saw the punch come in, and they're the worst punches because you can't prepare for them.
No, I mean, really, that could have been a lot of things through the fog of war. It could have been the tracks, it could have been the sound profile. Either way, I mean, this is what high-level gameplay looks like,
It's amazing
to see these things.
I was, of course, being supercilious in the chat there. It definitely isn't hacks. It is just what it looks like when you're seeing the best players play each other.
This engagement, Panzer IV versus T-34-85. The Grenadiers are coming in potentially with a Faust. Talisman spots it. He's going to try and get out of there quick enough. Now the Panzer IV is going to take a shot through the fog. No, he's going around the back. Manages to get another penetrating shot. Oh, was that a bounce or a miss from the 85 there?
A bit of a miss. Both armies are feeling a little bit difficult now. We've just had the first blood taken by Talisman, and Thedosios is out for vengeance. You can feel that. It's like a hornet's nest has been kicked.
saw another Panzer IV on the field as well. This is a huge mid-tier build from Thedosios.
Is it going to be effective though? Because at the moment Talisman looks like he has the measure of his opponents.
I'm really impressed that Talisman is holding this game off with conscripts. I mean, bear in mind they have no upgrades. You know, their main kind of accolade is that they're a 6-man squad and can put up with a lot of depression of morale.
Look at this pick from Talisman. He's getting the Katusha out next. So he's going to use those conscripts as cannon fodder to anchor these support weapons and infantry in place, and then he's going to finish them off with the Stalin organ.
That'd be quite nice. I mean, I wonder if Thedosios is actually going to fall into that trap. I mean, I think you can see Thedosios starting to move his Grens around in kind of mini squads at the moment, which I think, you know, maybe he'll be able to take advantage of that. But mainly the Katusha. I mean, if he can actually force a retreat and protect the Katusha far enough up into the base, he could get a lovely base shot with that.
Nearly just had the second thing down, but here we go. We've got something coming down. It's the Sturmovik attack. The big loiter is now on the field. This thing will attack your infantry, attack your tanks. It'll deny area.
Yeah, this is a big worry. This is going to allow Talisman to kind of storm up the center of the map. The Katusha's on the field, so maybe this could be the moment for that to move up a little bit. And he's got to focus on the right-hand side now. Obviously, Thedosios is forced out of the center, will bring his army to the right-hand side of the map.
He's going to have to. He's had some great shots in with the Stug, pushing away that T-34-85. But for me, all eyes on the Katusha now. This first barrage is always the most impactful if it's hit correctly, because you're just not expecting it, of course. Falls in difficult territory. The Zis has found it. The T-34-85 is on the rampage. The Stug's out of position.
Yeah, it was a nice one. He knew better than to chase that one, though. Would have resulted in a Faust, and there's plenty of Panzer IVs and Stugs to deal with that T-34-85. Has to be so careful with that unit, and he's pretty susceptible to a push right now. Where was that Katusha shot aimed at? Absolutely nothing there whatsoever. Lost the surprise element of that unit as well. Could go down to the Panzer IV.
That is actually, it wasn't a bad idea from Talisman. I'll tell you why. He's expecting the Pak 40 to be following up, but it wasn't. So he was expecting his opponent to have everything coming at once, and he just didn't work, so it's not worked out, and right now he's getting gunned down by LMGs.
Very difficult situation to be in. Thedosios still won't push it, though, because that 80 gun is there with protection of the 85s, so it does create a pretty good barrier against those medium vehicles. But what a waste of that Katusha, man.
It was. But the idea, you've got to understand that the idea was right. If you're getting fully attacked by two tanks and you know there's a Pak 40 and loads of infantry on the field, you expect them to be just behind the tanks, following up on them. So it could have been an absolute stroke of genius, but it just made him look foolish, and there's always a fine line between the two.
Well, let's have a look at the options that are on the field at the moment. Talisman's trying to push the left-hand side of the map to draw Thedosios over to that side. Got to get control of the right-hand side, and it looks like he's just trying to defend the mid at the moment. I think he's got an idea probably now of what's coming, even though there hasn't really been any telltale signs. I haven't seen Panzer Tactician used yet either, so I don't know if that's something that has been used that we've missed, which may give the game away.
No, I think he's going for a full ace in the hole here. Combat engineers possibly going down. Yes, they are destroyed by the Terminator Grenadiers.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Unfortunately, was not quick enough for that one. But Maxim here engaging the MG42 negative cover. The T-34-85 is going to come and put some pressure on as well. Instantly, Panzer IV springs into action. And actually, it looks like a flank might be in order.
Katusha has reloaded, so he has that at his disposal also. Could be making a big redeeming flank here, because he has actually dropped down on the victory point significantly compared to his opponent, so he does need to make a move.
Do you know, I think we're not really that far away from IS-2 now. So, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, I really think that in order to win this, and make a good job of it, like, he should be trying to deal with these medium vehicles as much as possible.
Oh, Grenadier is possibly going down! Last barrage, will it hit on retreat?
It will.
Oh!
Much better Katusha though, really.
Yeah, that's what he wants to be doing, but it's not been that effective so far. She's got the one kill in 2 barrages.
The Veteran Tiger crew is ready to join the
Alright, okay, Tiger is now available for selection. Will he be saving up for it now, or does he want to expand at all? What's the pop cap on it, actually? 26, so he actually needs to lose units before he can bring that Tiger Ace out onto the field. So he may actually just keep storing that manpower up and up and up until eventually he'll be able to do that.
What a cracking pick from the Stug there. He's taking out the T-34 from an oblique angle, hitting Veteran C2, getting its skirts. He's setting up perfectly for the finishing move, the point-and-click Tiger adventure game.
Yeah, it's a big blow for him, and actually he's going for another T-34-85 instead of the IS-2, which I don't know how I feel about that, actually. I think two AT guns and an IS-2 is a much better spread, you know, kind of like a spread against anti-infantry and anti-tank than a T-34-85. In fact, that's been cancelled now for the AT gun.
Yeah.
That's a sensible choice.
Sensible choice. Hans called that out in chat a while ago. He expected a Zis about 10 minutes ago, to be honest. A second Zis, that is. Actually had an Ostwind picked for Thedosios as well, so he clearly doesn't fancy that manpower drain. He knows he's in a commanding position. He might as well keep doing what he's doing, I guess.
Well, this is the tactics behind elite troops, is you don't just call it because it's available. You know, if you're having a solid game, and if he can win this game with the tier 3 vehicles he has on the field, then absolutely fantastic. The Tiger Ace really is a kind of a desperation, you know, last grasp at victory.
He's got the unholy trinity of tier 3 at the moment. Katusha's third barrage goes in. Again, not finding many marks.
It really isn't at all, is it?
Yeah, the unholy tier 3 trilogy are a very good complementing tanks. You've got the Ostwind anti-infantry, the Stug, which is of course anti-tank, and then the Panzer IV, which is an all-rounder. They complement each other so well.
I'm wondering if we're going to see a push here from Thedosios. He knows he's in a very, very strong position with 4 vehicles out on the field at the moment. And here they go. They're up against double AT guns. Panzer Tactician comes in from the Panzer IV, but the Ostwind goes in to try and clear out the AT guns. One of these is going to go down easily, and I wonder if Thedosios is going to make a last push with what he's got left.
He's going to have to, but it looks like the Panzer IV will be able to pick off these support weapons now. Talisman doesn't have much to back it up. However, he is attacking in the west. He could be taking down a Vet 3 Grenadier.
Close. Very, very close.
Again in the centre, by the way. He waited till his Grenadiers were in position to push away the Zis. Now he can destroy the weaponry. This is number 7 in the world Wehrmacht play for you. This guy is putting on an absolute clinic.
He really has done so well with the build here. But you know, it's a very basic build in terms of what was actually on the field. Just a lot of basic units played very, very well into this mid-tier at the moment. Talisman clearly struggling, but he's got to get up to that IS-2. I believe that's what he's saving up for at the moment. Things in the base which don't look like they're being reinforced. I think that means he's going to be putting his entire game stake right now and getting those AT guns back up and getting the IS-2, clearing out some of those Grenadier squads.
Yeah, Talisman's got a lot of work to do, and it's looking like insurmountable odds at the moment. Thedosios, his Wehrmacht war machine, is on the rampage. There aren't many weaknesses left.
Really not. I think having the IS-2 there might make it difficult to push him a bit. One of the dangers, though, of course, we do have the Stug with target weak point, which has changed now. As you see here on the quad cal, it doesn't actually stun the vehicle anymore. It locks the turret. So only the austere AT guns in the Winter Balance preview stun vehicles anymore. So actually it's not kind of as good. It means the IS-2 may get a little bit of ground, knowing that ability isn't there on the Stug.
Katusha again being absolutely useless.
You know what, I actually missed that IS-2 come out.
Yeah, me too. I just noticed on the field it's got 2 kills so far. It's got a nice camouflage, by the way, very realistic looking, like it. By the way, DevM is live in game and he's ready to play, so we've got options at the end of this cast. The mighty one has arrived. You know, he's just made, just doing what he can because he's a co-celebrity. You know, he keeps us waiting, shows up when he wants, does what he wants.
Yeah, that's fine, to be honest.
Oh, by the way, did you take out the yellow M&Ms?
for Dev M? Oh, I forgot actually.
Oh crap. Okay.
But I did get
right.
his. I did remove the orange out of the orange and lime Tic Tacs, so that they're all lime.
Good.
So.
What about the warming gloves? Have we got them to 23 degrees?
Shadow would have ran off with them. So.
Oh, for God's sake, not again. Look at this Panzer IV, it's on the rampage. The M5 is on the run, and the Panzer IV is out for it. He's probably going to take another tank. He's got other options to cut off the retreat path. There is a demo, however. If the Panzer IV goes on the demo, he could ignite it. There's also a TM35 mine. There's 2 options here. Demo possibly used. Ah, no, he missed the opportunity. The M5's going into base.
Very, very strange decision here. Talisman obviously realizing that the game is finished, trying to get any kind of last-ditch, kills and squad wipes that he can, but it's pretty much over. And I'm surprised he doesn't just throw everything in with the IS-2 here, just try and hope for some wipes, hope to get a lot of damage down on the vehicles. There really is very little chance of him coming back at this point. 80 guns destroyed by Thedosios. What has he got?
Do you remember when Talisman once blew up his entire army because he knew he'd lost? So he got all his conscripts together in a huddle, in an SL this is, and he like demoed them. Do you remember that?
I do remember that one actually, yeah.
He's so funny. Great player, Talisman. He's a little bit outmatched today by Thedosios, who had a great game, a fantastic clinic as Wehrmacht in Winter Balance Patch.
Oh, here we go. It's the final push from the Panzer IVs here as they storm the base of the Soviets. It's been a lovely little first game here whilst we wait for Dev M. And of course he is here now, so we will be going into the... he will be going into
there you go, the Panzer V finds the rear armour, the other one finds the Katusha, and he's looking like he's absolutely imperious here.
Loved how they really tried to test the capabilities of my 1080 at the end of that game.
Nice.